But the city of New Albany wants people to pay up.
Drivers owe the city $239,000 in penalties and fines. In this Fox 41 follow-up, Katie DeLon explains why those fees aren't being collected.
New Albany City Clerk Marcy Wishman is fed up with unpaid parking tickets.
It's aggravating. It's disgusting, actually.
She's tried everything to get people to pay up.
My office can only take it so far. You know, we can send out the letter saying, you know, you have delinquent tickets and we can collect the fines, but then it has to go to a legal.
Wishman's even compiled a list almost 100 pages long and shows us how unpaid tickets have cost the city $239,000.
When you hear departments that are struggling for, you know, $20, $30, $40, $100,000, and yet we've got that much in outstanding parking tickets. It's an issue that I have tried to get pushed forward on several occasions.
We tried to speak with City Attorney Shane Gibson, but his secretary said he didn't have time. The average ticket runs $10 and goes up to $60 after 30 days. It's $20 for a street sweeping ticket that jumps to $70 after 30 days. Wishman says the ordinance allows for serious violators to be towed.
Have these top offenders gotten their car towed?
No.
We went right to the top offenders to find out why they haven't paid up. The Luis Rogers Living Trust on Pearl Street is number 3, owing just over $23,000 for 274 tickets, but the door was locked. We tried lawyer Stephen Beardsley, but his office was also closed. He owes New Albany almost $26,000 for 329 tickets. And the top violator, Kimberly Hassman, owner of Shall We Dance, owes the city over $38,000 for 407 tickets. She too was not at her business. This summer, Mayor Doug England put a temporary halt on the 2-hour parking limit in the downtown area. He says the threat of getting a ticket kept people and their money away. But the city clerk says it was never meant to wipe the slate clean if you've gotten a ticket in the past.
But yet it still makes it difficult when you see people walking in, like I said, with a bag of quarters that you know is their laundry money and they're using it to pay a parking ticket. And you know that there are business people and such in the downtown area who have thousands of dollars worth of tickets and nothing has been done.
New Albany attorney Stephen Beardsley doesn't mince words on the subject of downtown parking.
The city has just been neurotic over parking.
His Pearl Street office has also been his family's home since the late 1980s. Records from the clerk of court's office show 3 cars in Beardsley's name. He says the only place to park them is on the street.
And I have found myself unable to move all of our cars every 2 hours, 5 days a week for the last 22 years.
Parking enforcement took notice, and since 2008, Beardsley has racked up 329 tickets to the tune of $26,000.
Are you going to pay the $26,000?
Certainly not.
But don't you think that seems a little arrogant?
No, I know. It's like having a law that just doesn't really work and no court will enforce. And the city knows that.
But that's like saying, I'm going to commit murder because nobody's going to really enforce it.
No. Would you pay $1,000 a week to park in front of your home? Probably not.
Beardsley has considered getting a residential parking permit, but since the city temporarily lifted the 2-hour parking limit, he can now park without getting a ticket. But it seems Beardsley is intent on making the point. The parking ordinance is not enforceable.
1 month they'll enforce it. The next month they'll say, no, we don't want to enforce it. And the ordinance itself does not allow for all this variety. No one, in fact, takes these tickets very, very seriously, except the city clerk, who is a voice crying from the margins.
City Clerk Marcy Wishman told Fox 41 on Monday that Beardsley's attitude is frustrating.
Yet it still makes it difficult when you see people walking in, like I said, with a bag of quarters that you know is their laundry money and they're using it to pay a parking ticket. And you know that there are business people and such in the downtown area who have thousands of dollars worth of tickets and nothing has been done.
Unpaid parking tickets have cost the city of New Albany $239,000. It's all documented right here in this 100-page report. But what we notice that many of the violators don't have a name. Beardsley says that only supports his claim the parking ordinance doesn't work. But the same ordinance also says the city can tow his cars for non-payment.
Have you ever been towed? Has your car ever been towed?
No, certainly not.
But do you feel bad about it? Do you have any?
No, I don't feel bad about it.
What do you do with your tickets? Where are they?
I am always very careful to throw my tickets away.
New Albany City Attorney Shane Gibson says the city is not out to punish people with parking tickets. However, his office has done little to make sure the city clerk receives the $239,000 in unpaid tickets and fines. But according to Gibson's math, the city is only owed $28,000 in parking fines.
The remaining $210,000 is a penalty for failure to pay on time. We are not enforcing usually the penalty aspect of the fines.
Clerk records report the top 3 people with unpaid tickets have a home or business on Pearl Street in downtown New Albany. Combined, they've racked up $81,600 in fines and penalties over the last couple of years.
To be too punitive on the people that have been there for years is not a policy that the city's really wanted to enforce too much, because we're afraid it'll discourage people from wanting to live downtown.
Attorney Stephen Beardsley owes the city $26,000. He told Fox 41 he has no intentions of ever paying his tickets.
It's like having a law that just doesn't really work and no court will enforce. And the city knows that.
I've actually even called Mr. Beardsley and said, can you please come and try and work this out in some fashion?
And he's thumbing his nose and he says, I'm not going to pay it.
I don't look at it as them getting away. It's just, it's not as easy as saying, you know, this person who lives in downtown has accumulated all these tickets. Well, he's parked his car in front of his or her house, for that matter.
Beardsley admits when he moved his business and home to downtown New Albany in the 1980s, he paid for parking with meters.
So, to be fair, he knew what he was getting into. He knew that when he lived and he worked downtown, he was probably going to have to pay to park.
I don't think the administration is wanting to penalize these people for living in downtown. It'll be a process of trying to clean up the ones that are outstanding.
But do you think if I come back in 6 months or in a year, you think he'll be off the books?
I'm going to do every effort to make sure they're off the books. I can assure you that.
It's time to kiss and make up. We each do small things for each other.
New Albany attorney Stephen Beardsley certainly has changed his tune. 6 months ago, he owed the city $26,000 for 329 unpaid parking tickets and vowed never to pay a dime. City Attorney Shane Gibson promised WDRB News he would find a way to get Beardsley to pay.
But do you think if I come back in 6 months or in a year, you think he'll be off the books?
I'm going to do every effort to make sure they're off the books. I can assure you that.
So fast forward 6 months.
Has something been worked out?
He made an initial payment early on, right after probably you came by and stopped and actually talked to him. We were able to meet and discuss it, and he finally finalized everything up this week. He was allowed basically as a policy to buy a retroactive pass to take care of his past ill tickets.
So the total cost to Beardsley, $600. Not bad considering he owed the city $26,000, even though Beardsley still argues about it.
You owed the city thousands of dollars.
No, never did.
Yes, you did.
You keep saying that.
I know, but because you did, because the city clerk says you owe the city thousands of dollars.
Well, now there's the difference. She said I did, but I did not. I mean, that's just one person's opinion.
I mean, I guess technically he's getting a break on some of them.
Gibson says the city is willing to waive penalties for anyone who comes in to pay off their tickets. He says since our story aired, the city will retool how it handles unpaid tickets by taking offenders to court.
So we've set up a system, hopefully, that will not, will keep things from falling through the cracks and getting too far behind to where it becomes unmanageable.
As for Beardsley, it seems Louisville better watch out.
I get parking tickets in Louisville all the time. Got one this morning, $16. Not too bad.